I'll 2 minutes. Okay, calling the Board of Ed meeting to order at 6:31. Time for pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, roll call. Let's start with you, Stacy.
Stacy Randolph Gendron. Karen Delfino.
Molly Smith, Debbie Sherman,
Mike Kusa.
Vinnie Cannadella.
Nicole Living McGrath, Sukanda,
Robert Carr. Jacob Knappler.
Taylor Sands.
Okay, any amendments to the agenda? Hearing none. Do we have a motion to approve the November minutes?
Motion to approve the November 25th Board of Education minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Oh, staying out earlier, I'm calling in part of it.
Fair enough. Motion carries. And do we have a motion for the December 2nd?
Motion to approve the December 2nd Board of Education minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Okay, audience and citizens. Do we have any? Okay. Board correspondence, communication.
Nothing.
We're moving forward. Okay, at this time, the Oxford High School presentation.
Hello, everybody. Warm, very welcome to Oxford High School. We have a couple of key agenda items for you, but before we get to that, I want to introduce members of our chamber choir. Anyone you want to head on over with the students? Now I'm going to read one brief announcement before they get situated or. So before their performance, I want to recognize Jenna Picota, who's a senior here at Oxford High School and a member of the chamber, concert choir, and concert band. She's currently the president of our Tri-M Music Honor Society chapter, and she's recently acquired a whole bunch of other accomplishments in addition to that. So most recently, she attended the National Association for Music Education Eastern Division All Eastern Honors Festival last spring of 2025. The honors ensembles were comprised of 600 students from 11 states who scored the highest in their state for their respective all-state festivals. So thank you. And I'll introduce to you Emily Marquardt, who's going to be our chamber choir director for the evening. And the performance is Hands Are Knockin' by Kyle Peterson, who uses both Arabic and English lyrics that communicate themes of compassion and gratitude. The piece invites all to consider what it means to respond with empathy when someone knocks in need of kindness. So without further ado.
نفته وتعالى الحمد لله We let them in, we let them in, we let them in, we let them in. Never do it, Diana, to the love. Never do it, Diana, to the love. Na 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 na. To the love. Na 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 na. To the love. Are knocking, hands 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 are knocking. Brother, will you let them in? Sister, will you let them in? Brother, will you let them in? Sister, will you let them in? Hands are knocking. Never do it, Diana. Do the love. Never do it, Diana. Do the love. Na 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 na. Do the love. Na 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 na. Do the love. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Alhamdulillah. Na 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 na. Alhamdulillah. Na 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 na. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much for having us. That was a song from our winter concert this past weekend. We hope you enjoyed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as they exit stage right, we're gonna get situated for part 2 of our student presentation. I'm gonna introduce front and center Mr. Joe Lanier, not only our science teacher, but also advisor for our Youth Conservation Corps, known as the YCC. With him are 2 student representatives, Brady Coombs and Riley Kearns, both sophomores. They're gonna get us flag positions. Yes.
This is true leader and staff.
Mine won't be as good as that. Everyone else had it.
There you go.
I should.
Okay, well, thank you for having us. We have 2 students with us. We have anywhere from 20 to 25 students that currently are part of the YCC. Our organization has actually been here since the spring of 2008, so it's been 18 years. I'd like to say thank you for inviting me. It's my first time actually here. So it's nice to be able to meet everyone. The one thing I do want to admit with this project that we've been doing, which is the Youth Conservation Corps, is without our students, this would not happen. So they're the linchpin behind all of this, and we're very fortunate as a community to have such a great asset people like to talk about our students, and I can't say enough about these guys and ladies as well. So with no further ado, our latest project here is working in Rock House. As you may or may not know, we've developed a 15-mile trail system over the last 18 years. We've engaged over 600 students on community service projects, whether that's building trails, that is stone wall restoration or invasive plant management. And we also have been able to offer a very unique program where those students who have finished 50 hours of service in the forest, doing our own craft there, a different form of art, we were able to offer them internship positions where they are actually paid and become a town employee through the Conservation Commission, and they're able to carry this work out. As far as I can say about this, these students have committed more hours and been able to help us raise more funds than any other organization that works in Rock House itself. We're very proud of that fact that we're very student oriented. To be able to have them come through. And as I always say, we put in the sweat equity and actively engage with willing groups who can help us go further along. Now, I want to kind of advance this a little bit, sorry. So this is, yes, the trail crew from 2014. Those are my two dogs, and they were our little sidekicks for a while and stuff like that. They're still out there with us, but we offer a really unique experience where the students are actually out in the forest throughout the spring. In the summer, we get to do our internship where the kids are learning about potential job opportunities and other organizations that we work with. Now, let's see if I can get this to work. The one thing that what we're trying to do now is we're trying to have a paradigm shift, because during COVID, we were actually one of the few groups that was actually able to still have students work together safely. And we had a surge in trail use. And that surge in trail use really opened our eyes to who actually wasn't there. And so this is where we've taken a shift and looking at how to create a trail system through universal or adaptive design. And with that, for instance, when we take a look at Connecticut, our average age is 41. So I'm above that one. 12% of our residents report living with a disability of some sort. 23% of our population is over the age of 60. I didn't make that cut yet. Also, the number of assessed trails for universal design in Connecticut is 0. So we have no trails that are actually officially what we would call assessed for adaptive use. Now, we have rail trails, we have bridle trails, but basically those are roads. We don't actually have true trails because we know that the adaptive community is looking for a greater challenge. So our general perception when I say adaptive use is this. This is the picture that comes into people's mind when they think of adaptive use. This is true. This is part of the adaptive community, but also we want to paint a better picture with our perception about adaptive athletes. This is delayed. Sorry. So here you can see there's different forms of adaptive bikes. This individual is actually an adaptive rider who can't actually ride themselves, so they have an assist rider with them. These individuals here, you see a mix of different types of adaptive bikes and adaptive hiking, where you can actually use a wheelchair to actually propel yourself through trails. You also have tandem bikes, and again, the adaptive wheelchairs. This gentleman here in the middle, I have to give a shout out to Greg. This guy's an incredible athlete. He actually got a spinal cord injury, sled riding, when he was like 25, and he's a paraplegic. He does some unbelievable things on his bike. He went down this double black diamond in Vermont. When I was up there doing a trail assessment, I chickened out. I said, no way. And he went for it. So in Vermont, like, it's serious trails. So these are true athletes that are out here. So what we're doing here at Oxford in Rock House is we're going to be taking a look at different particular aspects of the trail system that exist already. Because one of the perceptions behind doing adaptive friendly trails is that you have to recreate the wheel. This is not the case. One of the things that we have to do is we're actually looking at what we have and seeing if it accommodates or not, as opposed to let's start from scratch. Okay. Did I get the dead battery? Oh, okay. And we're also working with different service organizations. One of the groups that we're working with locally is Summit Adaptive Sports. They're working with a variety of different partners and adaptive athletes, but they say it's really hard for them to get outside. There's a lot of barriers that we don't realize exist. For instance, if you're familiar with Rock House, one of the biggest barriers is the gate. Just you can't even get in. And never mind the parking lot. The parking lot's a totally different story as well. So those are some challenges. Or a fallen tree. We can step over the tree or go around it. They can. So these are kind of things that we have to kind of take into consideration. But we're fortunate we have our trail crews, so we have very well maintained trails. The other thing that's really important is that we're bringing adaptive athletes into the part of this mix. We're not deciding what someone should do. It's really what they call the dignity of risk and the challenge by choice. Because everyone's risk assessment is going to be different. Brady Beam may take on a challenging trail that I would be like, I'm not doing this. So his black may be my triple black diamond or something. So that's what we're trying to look at, different scenarios where we can incorporate the community into the process. So. Is it living? I think, okay, maybe that's it. Okay, sorry about that. I have like 5 versions of this. This is like the abbreviated version, sorry, but, so access for everybody is our initiative. This is really what our focus is about ensuring equitable accessibility. On our existing trail system, we're fortunate that we have the Oxford High School Mountain Bike Club as well. So we would look to have them become trained and actually become assist riders for any students in the future that we may be able to engage with this project. And we're fortunate that we're working with a lot of different partners, from the Connecticut DEP to Vermont Adaptive Sports Summit. Another new organization that I've been introduced to that I'm working with is an organization called Just Hands. And the Parks Department is actually interested in trying to see if they can franchise out our model of a trail crew, because we're the oldest existing trail crew in the state of Connecticut that's been under continuous running. And there is no other teenage trail crew. There are adult trail crews and there are college age trail crews. And so we're really fortunate to have these guys. And I'd like, if you have any questions for these guys, talk instead of me. Questions?
You guys get involved in this, and are there any tools or anything that you wish you had that we currently don't provide for you?
So I personally got involved because I'm a Boy Scout and I like the outdoor adventure. And when I was coming to the high school, I had Mr. Lanier as my teacher for biology honors. So I actually saw the poster in the back of his room about YCC, and I was interested because it was a trail crew and it looked pretty fun. So being able to talk to him personally as a teacher was a great opportunity. But now we do have more club fairs where the YCC is advertised to students in that way. But just letting the school community know and all the students know is probably the best way that we could make it a better opportunity for everybody.
Thank you.
I was in biology class last year and we were doing an assignment and there were pictures on the slideshow of people from like the different trails, and she kind of like stopped and mentioned that like Mr. Lanier had this opportunity, and I didn't have him as a teacher, so I didn't know who he was, but I contacted him and then that's how I got involved. But like Brady said, like we have more like a promotion for it now with like the club fairs and everything. So I think it's easier to kind of get to be a part of it now.
Any questions for me?
How many members, and is it only the high school that participates
So right now, we were restricted to the high school because, just because of the age group, and then to offer the internship has to be a minimum of 15 to get hired by the town and stuff. And at the same time, I think it's really important that why this model works is that the students know me or know of me beforehand. So it's kind of hard to come from the outside and not know somebody. Cause I had that experience of running ski club down at the middle school for a couple of years. They didn't know who I was until we started to get a rapport, but then vice versa. Now, when the kids came up to the high school and I was doing a ski club up here a few years ago, it made it much easier. But so that relationship is a key thing. So they know the people are involved. And I also have Evan Rooney, who's a math teacher up here and also a former student of mine, which is now says I'm really getting old. And then Emma Schwartz, who's now our interim guidance counselor, is a former student of mine, but also a former YCC Trail Crew member as well, who's back. So it's kind of come full circle here, which is it's nice to see. I'm just waiting to see if I get any of their kids before I retire and stuff, so we never know.
Any other questions?
So would you be interested in having any rehab people coming and like looking at the crew or looking at the site and just seeing, you know, like I know you do have someone for adaptive sports, but you know, some physical therapist or something, just to say, hey, you know, I know it's for, you know, dignity or challenge by choice, but just say, you know, having them kind of look at it and, you know, make it more accessible with what you have.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we did have a group come out 2 years ago, and we're still working with them, which is the Sports Association, which is associated with Gaylord Hospital. So now I'm learning more and more about the adaptive community, and one of the things that we realize is that it's a broad spectrum of abilities. And then also, are you a recent entry into the adaptive community? Because Gaylord is working at that entry level where someone's just recovering from an injury, getting rehab and stuff. They bring in the specialists with them to our event. We had the physical therapist and things for helping transferring individuals in and out of the bikes and stuff, versus where you have the more higher, or I guess you could say someone who's been injured and now has acclimated to that and now is going out there and become more of an, you know, the athlete and stuff, which has been interesting because that I didn't realize, because just no experience where I've had this conversation now and just looking at the differences and how the community kind of subdivides itself and stuff. But that's what we're trying to offer, is a variety of offerings, because we have enough trails that you could have an introductory trail, you could have something that's more advanced, that's here.
Okay.
Question?
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's fine. All right, so little hard left turn here. The students and staff, they really are the whole reason for us being here. And so it's great to be able to showcase the work underway, not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom. So obviously the Chamber Choir got to perform this past weekend at the Festival of Trees, and our YCC are literally out and about almost every weekend, whether it's on the trails or last Saturday, they're REI in Milford, and they're talking up their Conservation Corps and fundraising opportunities. And Joe Lanier probably showcased tonight just a fraction of the work underway. So he's got a lot more incredible stuff on the horizon. So we're going to talk a little bit about our school improvement plan for the 25-26 school year. Hard to believe that we are at the midway point. So we'll talk about the work that has already happened, as well as the work that remains on the horizon. So not unlike the other buildings that you've had the chance to visit already, we are operating within the 4 key drivers that were set by the Board of Education and central office. So high quality instruction and leadership, positive school climate and culture, strategic communications, and teaching and learning framework. The one that's missing on here is the facilities. Obviously, it's a very important piece, and we get to enjoy this space this evening. But it kind of fits into all of these categories here. So it's a little bit subsumed by what's there. So as far as where we've been and where we're gonna head, As far as HQI goes, so we're looking at high quality instruction. We started last year here at the high school, what we call evaluation calibrations. So we're fortunate enough to have department chairs and team leaders across the majority of our content areas. And our instructional council team, as I deem them, we meet at least once per month. With that group, we solicited volunteers from across the building who wanted us to come in and essentially observe teaching and learning in their classroom and offer non-evaluative feedback. So last year, we were able to do that 3 times, and this year we've so far done it once. What's important for us as a group is while my department chairs are not currently acting as evaluators and supervisors, they are offering critical coaching feedback to the members of their teams. So it's good for us to go to a classroom, observe what it is based on where we want to kind of look at the rubric, and then be able to provide that teacher with some really good, productive, actionable feedback about what we saw and questions that we have as a result. The teachers that we've had the opportunity to see have been incredibly receptive. It's not easy to be, I'll say the first one we had was a brand new teacher. And he welcomed 8 of us into his classroom, and we're scrutinizing, we're talking to the kids, we're looking at him, we're picking up the papers. And he was so eager to get the feedback that when I sent the email out again this year, he was the first to volunteer a second time. That is becoming more inherent in the work across the building, because now our department chairs and just the members of the department are actually going into each other's classroom and doing peer-to-peer observations and beginning that coaching cycle without me, without Stephanie. It's just happening naturally. And that's what we want to see. Our teachers are a wealth of experts. They have important information to share. They also are willing to learn, which obviously if they want their students to learn, they should model that themselves, which we're proud of them for doing. Professional development continues to be a work in progress. We've spent the majority of our time here at the high school really focused on our upcoming NEAS accreditation visit. So as I shared with you earlier in the fall, we have our collaborative conference scheduled for this spring. I'll talk a little bit about where we are, but that has really been our driving focus for the last several weeks. And then our TVAL system we're implementing with Fidelity. So Stephanie and I, we kind of divide and conquer and get out to see the disciplines. Not only do we have a beginning and end of year meetings, but all of the conversations in between with informal as well as formal observations. For culture and climate, we have our student reps are part of that here. They kind of get to build upon the community and the communication that happens across the district. Last year, we also instituted school council. So it includes students, it includes staff, it includes administrators. And we meet once per month to talk about the ways in which we can continue to build and foster community and climate throughout the building. Not secondary to that, but this year too, we are operating under a new state legislative mandate about our school climate committee. So we reconvened that group and we submitted our draft goals to central office just before Thanksgiving, I should say. And we continue to do through both our SAT, which is our student attendance team, as well as our MTSS team, multi-tiered systems for support team, regular data review and intervention for the students who need that extra level of support. And so Stephanie oversees one, I oversee the other, and it gives us additional information on how we can be more successful as a school. As far as communication, we continue to release our Friday Highlights newsletter each Friday. And then we have 2 very active social media accounts. I'll give a shout out to AJ Houston, who is far more good about his athletics Instagram than I. And then even at the end of last year, our school counseling department also added Instagram. So it seems like there's a lot of things, but they all communicate and we make each other collaborators on the post. So that way, if I share something, it goes out across the 3 different Instagram accounts and it keeps people just that much more connected and engaged with the work. And what's good about the social media is it's you know, pictures and videos, and sometimes that's more fun than just the words that we put in the newsletter each week. And lastly, up here, we have our teaching and learning. A lot of this also echoes what we talked a little bit about with the high quality instruction tab. But again, our school-based leadership teams are really the driving force behind much of the success we have. So my department chairs have been instrumental in getting into classrooms within their own departments, but in helping that work grow, so that their own colleagues, even my new teachers who are veteran teachers, are exploring disciplines, and not only within their content area, but outside. So for instance, earlier this year, a couple of my English teachers went and observed a social studies classroom or a math classroom, because good instruction is good instruction regardless of the discipline. And so they're picking up techniques, they're asking questions, and then they're able to take that back into their own spaces, pilot it, see what works, and be willing to kind of take some risks, which is what we ultimately want for them. Learning walks, so we did one this year. I talked a little bit about eval cal. The learning walks are a little bit different. So outside of instructional council, outside of the department chairs, I sent out a Google form. And I said, if anyone wants to take part in learning walks this year, please fill out this Google form. There's a list of potential dates and times. And we as a group will get together and we will spend a half day or a full day literally walking the building and visiting classrooms for 8 to 10 minutes at a time. So we did this a couple weeks ago.
Barely,
Yes, we saw 21 classrooms, which is almost the entirety of the building. We saw every discipline really, and the majority of our staff, except those who were on the learning walks with us. We came back to the conference room at the end of the day, and the team of 4 and Steph and I had the opportunity to say like, so what was valuable about this process? And is it important for your colleagues to kind of now step into it and also participate? I think the resounding feedback was yes. Again, I had a mix of novice teachers to veteran teachers. And a lot of them were like, I learned a lot about just basic classroom management things, like how to start class, or if we walked into the middle of class, what did that look and feel like as opposed to the beginning or to the end? We saw incredible student engagement, and I will say a lot of them commented on the release of control. So the kids are really the ones steering the work and asking the questions and guiding the lessons. And that's critical to their learning. When they own it, they're more willing to engage with it and work along with it. So we hope for at least maybe 4 more of these throughout the year, with new teachers each time. And then what we did is at the staff meeting, I asked those teachers to step up and kind of share with the whole staff. Here's why this is a good opportunity. I know we may steal you out of your own class for a bit, but it'll be beneficial because, and we hope that that just continues to build upon itself. And then obviously we end with our NIAS collaborative conference visit scheduled for mid-March. Which, good segue. So March 16th and 17th, I was contacted the other day by one of the accreditation coordinators at NIAS. We will have 6 visitors here. They confirmed 6. I don't know their names, just the number. And they will be here literally infiltrating our space. They will talk to students, they will talk to staff, they will talk to administrators, both in the building as well as at the center. And they will explore and give us feedback on the reports that we've written. So far, we've completed all of the standards reports, so there are 5 of them. It's a lofty effort, and I will say the heavy lift was really thanks to my steering committee, who sat down and really tackled. Each group had their own respective standard to both research, write, and then we reviewed it as a more smaller team before we ratified it as a full staff. So the staff has all seen and adopted what we shared, and the important message is this is who we are as a school now. And here's what we are identifying as our priority areas for continued growth. Those priority areas are what we'll look at next. And then the full report will be shared with the NIAS committee into their portal probably by the end of January, early February. We are looking to propose additional course offerings. I know that there's some things on the docket later on this evening as far as increased dual enrollment opportunities and the creation of new pathways. I will say I'm incredibly excited about the potential to introduce an EMT certification course here for the 25 or 26, 27 year. And it will just give our students yet another opportunity to really invest themselves in potential work beyond high school. We have a unique endeavor to tackle both students who want to go to a traditional 2 or 4 year college, as well as those who just want to go into a trade or into the workforce. So I think we're positioning ourselves well to answer both of those needs. And then lastly, which also speaks to the course offerings, later this spring, in May, we'll offer our revised capstone experience to our seniors, which will provide them hands-on real-world learning that expands their perspective and further readies them for the space beyond Oxford High School. Kids are in the process now thinking about what that work will look like, whether they pursue an internship, a passion project, a work program, or even anything school or district based. And then they'll submit a proposal to the school-based team in mid-March. So a lot of exciting things underway and a lot of exciting things to look forward to. But I'm incredibly proud of the people in this space who make this all worthwhile each day. So, question.
Any questions from the board? Thank you for your presentation. Very good. Hey, Ralph, you ready? Yep. Okay.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, everyone. Tonight, Noah and I are doing an proposed fiscal year 27 operating budget as well as a capital budget. This is the 30,000-foot view in preparation for the January 6th joint meeting with the Board of Finance. I just want to thank Noah and the administrative team. A lot of time has been put into putting the proposed budget together. I don't think people realize the amount of conversations back and forth, trying to understand what's working, what's not working in our school district, and trying to meet the needs of our students, our staff, and our community. So we're very excited to prepare to share this with you. We did have a conversation with the Finance Committee Friday afternoon. And so I'll turn this over to Noah to get us started, and then take it from there. You're off to go.
Good evening, everyone. I know this is something that's kind of new to Oxford. This is something that we think is going to be very helpful to give a concise summary as we prepare to get into our budget workshop come January. And I want to echo Ralph's thanks to our administrative team. We changed how we did things this year. Everyone really, picked up and helped get the ball rolling on this. So I appreciate all of our administrators helping out with that. So the first two slides are just kind of informative. There are a lot of things that the board and has seen before and that we've presented. The first part is the budget calendar. Obviously, we have tonight is our introduction of the executive summary. On January 6th is whenever we're going to have our budget workshop with the Board of Finance. January 15th is when our capital budget is due to the Board of Finance. And the dates that are related to the town and the dates that are due to the town are dates that were shared from the town finance office. So these are the official dates, the calendar from the town. So these are the hard dates for that. So then from our budget workshop, then we put in, just in case we need additional workshops, having done research and looked around our surrounding, our neighboring school districts. This is something that it seems is, happens pretty frequently. Oxford, it seems like a lot, the finance committee's done a lot of it. So it's, however the board would like to move forward, but we just want to put it out there. Obviously, whatever we need to provide to you, that's what we're here for. And then seeing as our final date for the Board of Education is March 4th, by either on January 27th or February 24th is whenever we should look to have approval from the Board of Ed for sending it to the Board of Finance. And then some town meetings, just as an FYI. So March 9th is the capital plan. So obviously we'll have presented our capital budget in January. And then that's the planning meeting for all of the town. The March March and April timeframe. The Board of Finance is reviewing everything, so as those of you who've been around, that's when, you know, we really kind of get into the nitty gritty there, going back and forth. And we're trying to find ways to get our peg in the hole. And then May 14th is whenever is the referendum date for this year. Just a little bit on the budget process. So this year we kicked off in November. We sent the calendar, we set up our instructions, and then we sent instructions with a template to our building administrators. They returned everything to us before the start of December. We figured, you know, it's capital and operating are separate, so we can treat them separately, give an opportunity for the building administrators to kind of think, you know, differently ahead of, you know, operating versus capital. December, Ralph and I met with each of the building administrators, each of the department administrators, and went through the details of you know, specifics for programs that they were asking for, changes, personnel that they were looking to add or augment. Looking ahead, come January and February is whenever we'll have our department workshops again, starting January 6th. And then in that same time frame, the board will need to adopt the budget to present to the Board of Finance. And then March 4th is our deadline to get a budget to the Board of Finance. Some of the budget priorities and what we're presenting. Special education continues to be a growing need in our district. It's a growing need across the state and really across the country. Giving increased support to our youngest learners. So as you'll see, as we go through this, there are a few different programs or services that we're looking to incorporate. Provide additional programs that strengthen the bond between, you know, the schools and the town community as a whole. As Heather kind of dropped, you know, a little seed there as far as one of our things we're going to present tonight. We're gonna look to improve the communication. Obviously, that's been a big piece of Dr. Marino's incoming administration, is to, you know, make sure the board and the central office and the schools are presenting all the great, wonderful work that are happening in the schools to the community. We're gonna look to increase our effectiveness and efficiency when it comes to the HR side of things with the central office. Specifically those, you know, looking towards recruitment, retention, culture, and compliance, specifically like state and federal compliance for a lot of employee employment related items. And then we're hopeful that we can find a way to shorten some of the bus trips for some of those students who have, get transportation outside of the district. You know, they end up, I think it's 5:30 in the morning or something, that some of the students are boarding a bus, which is pretty early even for high school. Some of the assumptions that we use in this. So we met finance committee, Ralph and I met with our insurance broker, and I spoke again with him earlier this week. Our projection right now for the premium increase is 16%. That's from them. They said, you know, there are some districts that are getting hit even harder than that. So they said right now we're actually not too bad a shape comparably to others. We accounted for 6 out of the 7 CBAs are pretty well set or are getting finalized. Special education, so the outplaced students, the tuitions, since we use zero-based budgeting, there is no contingency built in. I worked with Linda to make sure we got all the students who are here, students that we know are gonna be here, and any changes that we are pretty sure are gonna happen for next year. Again, maintaining zero-based budgeting, and then inflation continues to, be a piece, it's still sitting around 3% year over year, I think, as of September. So this is a summary of some of our budget drivers. So this top section here are actually items that are existing in this year we're not in this year's budget, but are currently funded in this year's budget. So things such as the Director of Pupil Services. I'm thinking of the next item. Apologies. So the top part are things that we are looking to, it's a combination of those. So things that are currently happening this year or items that we identified that like we just don't have any control over. So director of PPS is a position that was added back into this year's, not into this year's budget, but into this year's operations. Repair and maintenance, we reviewed pretty thoroughly with our facilities department, specifically our COO. And found that there had been a historical deficit over the last couple of years where we've just been making large transfers to fill the hole of what's been budgeted. So that number there of 240,000 is to help hopefully avoid doing transfers. And that's repairs and maintenance. These aren't capital items, you know, it's largely repair and maintenance things. Salary increases, obviously a lot of that is you know, but basically all that's going contractual stands, those who are not in a union. Health insurance. So I know I did double check this after we met with the finance committee. So the change year over year is 8.5% in our budget. I reviewed it with our broker on Monday. It's a budgetary thing. I looked at what the change was from the prior year to the current year, and last year was about 3%. So while our premium is going up 16%, when it comes to how it's been budgeted in the past, it's kind of, you know, we're trying to get to that zero-based budgeting. But every year it's difficult because by the time we get to July 1, the number of people who are enrolled in healthcare changes. And there's also a little bit of savings in that line, assuming some changes with collective bargaining agreements and health insurance changes for those groups. And then we have, you know, the last piece is about a little over 100,000 of just, you know, minor changes in programs and some of that assumption of the, you know, inflationary increase. And that brings us to a total of about 4.5% before adding any of the new items that Dr. Marino would like to, you know, is presenting to the board to add. Of those items, the first one is a program. It's going to be called the Secondary Comprehensive Learning Program. It's an extension of the program that exists in the other 3 schools. It does not exist in the high school currently. We estimate that there's at least going to be 2 students that will be moving into this program if it begins next year. And there's approximately 5 students in each of the 3 schools programs. This is a big savings because it keeps us from having to outplace these students. So the hope is we have, there's a state education grant called the SEED grant that's specific to new special ed programs. That's what we're planning to use to fund the supply side of it. It's about $27,000. And so we're hoping to kickstart this. If the average, you know, it's hard with tuitions and transportation, it varies largely, but it could be between $120,000 to $250,000 per student per year. Looking at, you know, again, one of the priorities is our youngest learners, looking to add 3 paraeducators to the kindergarten. Currently, there are 3 paraeducators to the 6 classes, which means that they kind of rotate. They really only get the half time. You know, when they're in kindergarten, you know, a lot of times they're just, you know, they're getting used to being in school. They haven't necessarily gone through, you know, proper identification for their needs yet. So adding these pairs will really help give more support for kindergarten. Adding a STEM coach. So it's not just math, but also science and engineering to help the teachers strengthen as we go through there. The HR bookkeeper position is for the central office. And then you have to, again, help with those compliance pieces. And then we have adding a bus. Some of these items are security items such as the wearable staff alarms. So those are those little alarms that would be able to wear in place of, you know, there was a radio, you know, replacement of district wide radios was a ask over the last couple of years that cost about $150,000. This estimates about $50,000. The communications specialist as part of that branch of the communications audit, help operationalize that. We discussed, you know, bringing an EMT course to the high school. Wanting to add 2 days per week of ASO coverage. This year, we've, you know, fortunate enough, we're able to reach out to the town and they're able to come whenever we don't have an ASO. We had a regular scheduled one who's, moving, so we've had to rely on the, police more this year, which is not very cost effective. And this is just to budget it in to allow us to have that flexibility, and be more cost effective with it. A weapons detection system for each campus, and then digital mapping for each building. And then there's a few other items that make up that last line. All told, the initial ask is approximately a 6.78%, 6.78% increase from the current. This is the slide, gives us an idea of what's proposed new in fiscal year 27. So these items, you'll see there are ones that are highlighted yellow. Those are ones that we are currently operationally paying for this year. And we're just looking, they're going to be new to the budget next year because they weren't in this year's budget. I'll draw attention to the green section down towards the bottom. So the little more than $15,000 of other new items and programs, that's what makes that up. So we have a chemical hygiene officer for here at the high school. Currently, they don't have one, so you know, that can become a safety issue. PK membership, which the board's already approved. So we also look to increase the number of sub nurse days. We've had quite a few days already where the nurses have been out. And we also had the flip side of the, we did have one school reach out, and, you know, outside vendors are much more expensive to bring in versus having our own subs on, you know, to be able to call in. And then, you know, making sure our nurses have their proper certifications and student calculators for middle school and high school to make sure those students who either forgot it at home or may not be able to incur that cost, you know, have what they need for their learning. The last few items down below the gray line are a few items that are for future considerations. So these were things that we felt still merit consideration, but these, you know, everything above that gray line is really our top priority for next school year. Next couple of slides are just to give you an idea of kind of the breakdown. I will say the budget by department, this does not include the salary piece, so this is by discretionary. So this is kind of where you can see where the discretionary percentages, nothing too surprising here, district-wide PPS and high school being the top three. This is expenditure by type. Again, not really any big surprises where 77% of our total budget goes towards salaries and benefits. Budget priorities. So again, this just is a little bit more information about some of those items we went through on the slide of what we're looking to add. You know, the STEM coach, the 3 paraprofessionals for kindergarten, a little bit more information on the special ed program for the high school. The HR bookkeeper. So another thing too with that one for the central office is, as you all know, and even Heather mentioned it earlier, you know, we get a lot of state mandates. TRB is now going to begin auditing, which means we have to be able to verify the certification of our teachers who are in TRB to make sure that if they don't have their certification, that they're not getting paid. There's also a MERS 2.0, which is coming out on July 1. So that's for the non-TRB personnel that qualify for a pension. The state has created a second MERS, so there will be MERS 1 and MERS 2 to go along with the TRB audit. And that's all personnel and data and going through all of that. Along with, you know, the obvious need to help with recruitment and retention. Communication specialists, you know, again, once we do the audit, having someone to help operationalize and get that ball rolling. Adding the bus run, and again, this is a bus run, we're not buying a bus. This is to add a bus run onto our existing contract with All Star. So the cost that's in there is based off of our contracted cost and number of days. And then to add the EMT course, it'll be here at the high school. There, out of that 40,000, at least a quarter of it is for supplies, one time off, so it's getting the equipment. And the majority of it's the cost of the students' enrollment. I believe it's about 24,000 for like 12 to 16 students. It varies per pupil cost, and then there's also a small piece of we have to have a teacher in the classroom with the instructor, which is our local instructor. But it sounds like a pretty cool idea. This is our capital budget request. So we know in years past, it's kind of been high, medium, low. We went through with facilities, looked at a few different things. We basically said, this is the stuff at the top that we really need to get done for next year or very soon. Some of the pieces may happen before we even get to next year. And then the bottom part is, it is in priority order. But first and foremost, fire panel at Quaker Farms, approximately 40 years old. We did have the fire alarm at Goes, or the fire panel at Goes did die recently. We were fortunate enough that it was new enough that they were able to find a compatible one within the area to replace it. The one at Quaker it's not possible. We were also very fortunate the panel they found for Goes was compatible with the sensors throughout the building. Again, not going to be possible with the Quaker Farms one. These numbers are real numbers. We have quotes and estimates for almost all of them, especially the top ones we do. Our Great Oaks, adding another section. There's a bubble class that's moving from Quaker to Goes next year, so we have to find a space for them. This is to convert an existing storage room into a classroom. It's not necessarily going to be for that second grade class, but it's so they can shift the classes around. An upgrade to the generator in Quaker. As we make these transitions to electric-based HVAC, having generators at each location is going to be that can handle that. To avoid us having burst pipes is going to be an increasing need. That being said, there is no generator at Goes. It's all electric HVAC. Central office is there. There is no generator at all. And then the last piece, this has been an ongoing issue that we've been addressing throughout the year with the high school oil. We've been making headway with correcting it. This is what we view as the one known that would definitely help. The set is not correctly sized. It's original to the building. And with some of the other pieces that have been changed with the boiler to make it more efficient to try to correct some of the issues. This piece will help. There's nothing we can do about the oil. We're waiting for feedback on the oil tank. It's being tested. But this is a piece that we definitely know we'll need regardless of whatever happens with the oil tank. And then this is just our summary slide, give a nice concise picture of what our proposed budget is, the proposed increase, and a reminder what those priorities. So any questions? Yes.
So I have a question for the new FTEs. Does that include salary and benefits?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a little note there at the bottom of page 7 that says in the orange there, it says all positions include an estimate for salary for benefits. If I put them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Mike.
Cool.
I think it's probably more addressed to Dr. Marino than to you, Noah. Eric did that presentation in November where he said what he was looking for as far as curriculum, and we talked about at that time a math coach. It looks like, is that what the first one is, STEM? Did it get rolled into math and science?
Yes, the feedback that we received, we discussed it, and we wanted to broaden it a little bit.
Okay, can you talk about how would that play out? Like, how would you do that?
Yeah, Eric, you wanna?
Yeah, it would be, to start at least, math focused, and it would be similar to, obviously, what our K-5 literacy coach does. Just thinking in regards to bang for the buck, you know, we do have grades 4 and 5 departmentalized, where we do have specific science, math, teachers at that level. And I have been working with some teachers that, you know, have been requesting some, science help as well, so. Just want to make sure when if that position does go, and we post it, we write the job responsibility with that in it as well. Just so it doesn't become something down the road with like, you know, hey, it's math only, not science. So that person will be able to support both, but initially it would be, more math focused.
Okay, and during your presentation, you had mentioned about doing SAT prep. Was that a consideration and it just got dropped, or?
Still,
Is it
we're
still
still
on the-
trying to, yes, gather, we may have some internal options that we're able to do this year within the budget we currently.
Okay, thank you.
So the high school program, the secondary comprehensive learning program, how does that differ from Connections?
So, Linda, if you were on.
Okay.
So those programs are for our students basically that are nonverbal, that we would have to outplace. So it's our specialized program to keep them in district. So we wouldn't have to outplace them. So Connections is more of the students that are, you know, that the behavior piece, that not doing the work, not coming to school. These are the kids that really need the life skills, the DTI training, so more of that base. Mhm.
Thank you for clarifying.
And just to follow up on that, it sounded like there's 5 students in this program per school, so there's 15 currently in the program.
Currently, there was 7 at Quaker. We have 2 that we were able to put in regular ed. So there's 5 in each, and we also have 3 preschool 4-year-olds that are anticipated to be in the program next year as well. Mhm.
How many students could participate in this program?
We would like, there's no cap, but we don't want a program to go over 7 kids. Mhm. For it to be effective.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Sue?
The bookkeeper position, can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, I can speak to that. You know, one of the things that we've really been looking closely at is increasing efficiency and effectiveness. On top of that, there's a number of new state mandates that are really going to cripple the staff that we have. You know, Marie and Danielle being the 2 bookkeepers that we have at central office right now. To add more to their work is untenable. It's just untenable with what they're doing, particularly Marie and payroll. The additions for TRB and MERS require someone that has a specialty in HR. And I think one of the things that I've been looking at really closely along with Mike D'Agostino is our processes within HR. We want to make sure that we're not only recruiting the best staff, but that we're keeping the best staff. Those procedures have been spread out across a number of different positions. And one of the things that we're really trying to do is get our arms around that, identify some procedures. So being able to have an HR assist, an HR bookkeeper, bookkeeper being the name outlined through that collective bargaining agreement, that has the specialty to not only understand the recruitment efforts, the sort of workings of HR that Mike and I are doing, and a lot of the clerical staff is supporting in many different ways. But also to attend to some of those new state mandates that we have, particularly with the TRB audits. The MERS piece is going to be, MERS 2.0 is going to be huge. It would allow us to streamline those procedures a little bit more.
And also is that about 4 or 5 are, you know, the current staff, and they're working really, really hard, but they have pieces of it. And both of us have gone through the, you know, the onboarding process, being new to the district. But also conversations that I've had with staff chats, even some new employees share their experiences with us. And you know, we're really trying to centralize it in one location, so we don't drop the ball. So there are a lot of hands in the HR process of just the whole idea of recruiting, the retaining, and you know, love to see some type of, you know, process when somebody chooses to leave the district. like an exit interview process, those types of things. So right now, we do not have that. But, our folks are working really, really hard, but there are lots of hands in that process right now.
Bob?
So we want to add a bus. I think we need to explain that a little bit more as to why we need that bus. I know why we need that bus. The people on the finance committee know why we need that bus, but I think there's should be a little bit more explanation to the public for why it is that we need that bus.
Right, we struggled early on this year, trying to make the 19 buses or routes, whatever you want to call them, work. It's getting earlier and earlier, departures in the morning, but also we're very complicated in the afternoon because we need to use that, and I get the schools mixed up, but some of our schools that are outside us, they go to the, I'll call them career technical schools. To come back and get to the transfer point and have the bus back in time for GOES and Quaker. And Betty, working with Mike D'Agostino, we're kind of patching together. We're asking a lot of parents, we have late runs.
Early
Bus a long
You have
time.
early runs, right?
You have some really early runs, and I haven't done those yet, but I know I have one that's like have to be at the garage like 5:20 a.m. to get there, and then the first pickup's like 5:35. So that's insane. Okay, and they're not getting home till very late as well. So and then we have a community drop-off point. And some of those parents were not very happy at the beginning of the year, but again, we're trying to make 19 buses hit all of that. That's all we have, 19 buses. So we're doing the very best we can, but those numbers seem to be going up that I've been told that are going to those schools. It's only gonna be more problematic. We can't ask kids to get on the bus at 5:15 in the morning. I mean, we're just not gonna be able to do that, so because they have to pick up so many students. It's extremely challenging at this point. Right now, we patch it together, but we do some afternoons, we're late getting getting out of Quaker and GOES for the elementary run. Because that bus has to do a drop off.
So I just want to give a little perspective as a parent of someone that goes to a different school. My sophomore daughter gets up at 4:45 a.m. to go to school at Emmett. And her bus picks her up at the house at 5:35. Now, obviously, I'm not advocating we spend $77,000 just for my daughter. I'm just trying to give you some perspective on how early that happens. So she essentially gets on the bus at 5:30 and she doesn't get back to the house until about 3:30 in the afternoon. So.
Why are these runs so early? Do we have, have they always been this early?
Yeah, plus the number of students they have to pick up. I mean, it's the numbers are growing.
But so now you're not buying the bus, so how are you actually increasing the routes? You just.
We're gonna have 20. So when they do this scheduling software and TransFinder, there's 20 buses in the system when you assign all the children.
And even other districts are actually having an issue with this because I get alerts all the time from Emmett that says, hey, your daughter's bus is delayed and she's not gonna get home until 4:15. So it's not just the Oxford issue, it's also a CEP issue as well.
So we do have the enrollment numbers and we'll have that for January 6th.
So adding the bus, which I'm all in favor of. Does that shift the time they get picked up? So instead of at 5:35, the pickup time might
That's
be
the
at a
goal,
more.
because we may have two buses going in a direction somewhere. So again, the way my understanding with the conversation with Mike and Betty, it's you put it into the system, what the available seats are in the buses. And then next year we have different students live different places, and then the routing does that. And then we kind of massage it. Plus we have our own two vans too. So we provide support with those two, try to make it work. Because we have, if we have an outlier location somewhere that's not kind of on that route, then, they may have to go grab the kid and bring them to a point. So it's quite complex. I'm not an expert in it, but I just dealt with some parents early on this year and conversation with Betty that, yeah, it's getting more complicated. I don't believe we've added a bus run in a while.
We have.
I don't recall. Yeah. So think about
And we have a board policy that I'm reading right now that says additionally to promote student safety, no student pickup shall occur earlier than 5:45 a.m. So we're in violation of that right now.
Does anyone have any other topic points?
I'm just very happy to see kindergarten getting the support they need. Those teachers are amazing and to not have to share help would be, a great resource to all of them. So thank you for considering it.
Eric?
I'm just curious, if there, later on, there could be a presentation in terms of like, the community, what the secondary comprehensive learning program will look like. I don't know if it's kind of like a 18 to 22 program or like where they're, how does that work into the school?
It's gonna be students that would be coming to high school
Okay,
that can't participate in regular high school typical classes.
okay,
So we have these programs at all the other schools. We have Baker goes in the middle school. So they'll be transferring here to the high school. So they'll be part of the high school community. So hopefully that we can.
so they're in their own
participate.
classroom,
I'm sorry?
they're in their own
Yep,
classrooms?
they'll have their own classroom, yes. Mhm.
Okay,
Yes, and it's a lot of life skills, a lot of cooking, communication. Our overall goal is to get them to participate in activities with their typical peers. Be involved in gym and art and classes, if we can get them into those classes. And get them involved as much as we can into the high school community in classes. Mhm,
all right, thank you.
mhm.
And she'll be speaking more to that on January 6th as part of her presentation for the budget workshop.
Okay, great, thank you.
So I have a question on the paraprofessionals for kindergarten. Is it because we see what's coming through the pre-K program that we know we need the additional resources? What triggered the number of 3?
Okay. Okay. I've had 2 or 3 staff chats at Quaker since I arrived. It's been discussed quite frequently. Used to have a full-time for each kindergarten section. But it's the size, the academic needs, behavioral needs, and providing our youngest learners for a solid start. I mean, this is really where the entry point is to Oxford. And, having those heartfelt conversations with the staff, and from my own experiences, we're usually, staff rich at that level simply because welcome to Oxford, welcome, the next 13 years of your life. And we really want to, make that a solid thing. So we used to have it here. It predates us, but having the conversations with the teachers in a small group, there's a strong need. And actually going in and reading I visited a kindergarten. And that's not the time that I was in there, it had the para. And I observed what she was doing to provide support while I, participated in the read aloud for a couple of youngsters. So I could imagine it would have been a little bit different, because the teacher and I could do the reinforcement of the book. And the parent provided some support to a couple of youngsters that needed it. So it would have probably been structured a little bit differently. The teacher would have been diverted to that, and then I would have had the other, 18 myself. So
this wouldn't be special ed para, this would just be a.
Gen Ed, these are Gen Ed, yeah, right now it's 0.5 each, they're 3 full-time, and they're split over the 6 sections. Yeah, 6 sections in kindergarten, and that's what we're forecasting for next year.
Yeah, 6 classes.
Repairs, they get 0.5 each assigned, they're half days.
Was this funded through a grant that we lost because of COVID? No?
I was gonna say, we haven't had it in 3rd.
Okay, we did lose, we were funding pairs through a federal grant at some point that we.
But the cuts weren't from
Cuts were
that.
because of
They
that.
were budget cuts.
They were budget, yeah.
Okay.
And I believe at one point we went to 0, none. And then it came back at the point, the half times rate, right? I understand this, they shared with me.
And just know that we're gonna be having a workshop where all the different drivers are gonna come in. I believe that's the
January 6th.
January 6th meeting, so we'll be able to get a deeper dive for every, operating group.
And the Board of Finance will be here as well.
Yes. So,
Do you want us to save a majority of our other questions to that workshop?
I mean, if we have questions, ask them, but it's one of those, just know that we're gonna get more detail and we're gonna have each of, let's say, athletics, although AJ's here. Thank you, AJ. But all the different driver groups will have a representative and be able to kind of talk to us, directly, so. But any other questions? Any other questions?
I have one question.
Go.
What is a chemical hygiene?
So that's basically the person that makes sure that they properly dispose of chemicals and chemicals that expire are properly disposed of. So the fact that we don't have one is kind of a flag. Having helped close down a high school, I can tell you it's a big deal. When you see some of those chemicals that like that high school had like chemicals that were from 30 years ago. So like it can get a little, I'm sure we're not in that much of concern here, but we want to avoid ever getting there.
Would that include the work on the pool?
I do not believe so. I'll check. It's mostly typically a chemical hygiene officer is responsible for what's in the chemistry lab or what's used in biology lab and make sure everything, if it's supposed to be a flammable chemical, that it's in a properly vented chemical cabinet. And that things that may not react well together are not kept in the same cabinets.
And then training our staff, there's a lot there. We have to have a plan, so it's quite extensive.
Any other questions? Thank you, Noah.
Thank you, Noah.
Thanks, Noah.
Okay, moving on to the action items for the meeting. The first one up is the appointment of the Board Education Committee members and chairs. So all the board members were given the opportunity to specify what subcommittees they want to be on, if they're interested in being on more than one, and if they're interested in chairing any of the subcommittees. So at this time, it's attached to the agenda. Do we want to do a motion and then go into discussion?
I'll make a motion to motion for the board to approve the appointments of the subcommittee members and chairs.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. For discussion, I just want to, I don't know if anyone has had a time to look at the list. So I'll start with facilities. Mike Kush will be chairing it. The members are Deb Sherman, Molly Smith. The meeting dates and times currently are set to the second Monday of the month at 5:15, virtual. For finance, the chair currently is Mike Kusa, members Robert Carr, Deb Sherman, Karen Delfino. Meeting times and dates virtual as needed and to be determined. The next one, which was booked a month ago, is scheduled for tomorrow at noon. I apologize, Karen, for the very short notice.
No.
It was booked a month ago, just trying to time it before Christmas. The next subcommittee is policy, chaired by Nicole Levine McGrath, members Sue Condick and Vinnie Cadadella. Their meeting times, dates and times haven't changed, so the first Thursday of the month at 5:45 virtual. Curriculum, chaired by Deb Sherman, members Vinnie Cadadella, Karen Delfino, and Stacy Randolph Jedrin. Their meeting times, date and time, I don't think has changed. The third Monday of the month at 5:15 PM virtual. And then negotiations, we currently have one negotiation that was that is not settled yet. We have no chair for that, but on that subcommittee for negotiations is Deb Sherman, Vinnie Cadadella, Robert Carr, and Sue Connick. So do we have any discussion, questions? So
We're gonna have a community committee or something like that?
that is a conversation I wanted to have with Nicole, that is part, we feel that it fills under curriculum, communications, and technology subcommittee. It existed, then historically it was rolled under the communications part of the curriculum. And so we're gonna be looking at working with policy to make an adjustment to not having a sixth subcommittee if it can fall under one of the five.
We have to merge the bylaw.
Yeah.
There's a bylaw for that committee, so we had a conversation and merge them together, so.
Yeah.
It's on the next, hopefully be on the next policy committee.
Any other?
Add it to the agenda.
There you go.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor? Oppose? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay. Project 108-004 cafeteria gym HVAC. Ralph is,
This is for the goes. We spoke about it last meeting.
okay,
To
so I believe we're looking for a motion to accept
substantial
the
completion,
project.
so the town can submit the grant.
So do we have a motion?
There's nothing.
I think it's more just motion,
So
right?
a motion to accept project 108-004 cafeteria and gym HAV as completed and operational.
At goes.
That goes.
Yeah, we forgot goes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
You guys are all set. You're happy with where
Yes.
everything is and
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
This motion, we're gonna split into two because there's two separate accounts, so we just wanna make sure this is clear. The first one is to, I make a motion to change the bank account signers and add Mike Kusa as the chair and Deb Sherman as the vice chair to the following central office accounts at Ion Bank, which are accounts held by the Board of Ed in the district. The 007 central activities account, which is ends in 3403. 008, the hot lunch program, which ends in 3411. The 022 educational grants account ending in 3374. And the 015 section 125 payroll account ending in 2996.
Do we have a second? Okay, for discussion. Any questions? Noah, just out of curiosity, because I know that I'm on this list. Is it because change of title that puts me on the list? Because I know in the last, I don't know, multiple years, I was a secretary, then a vice chair. So I've been a signer on these accounts for a while.
So the central activities, you have not been, at least
Okay.
from the last list that I had,
So that's the only one that I need to be added to?
correct.
Okay, good to know.
It's just, the other one's just the other.
Fair enough. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
And then I would like to make a motion for the Newtown Savings Bank General Fund to add the Board of Ed Vice Chair Deb Sherman.
Do we have a second? Okay, do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
I don't know.
Okay, Deb's is abstaining.
For myself.
Motion carries. You can vote for yourself. Okay, any other?
No, that's it.
So do we, Deb, would you like to, make a motion for the curriculum?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to accept the curriculum for the Oxford High School Forest Forensics class, which is an elective.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, discussion.
So does this take the place of field bio, or is it an
No,
additional?
it's an addition.
So, yeah, this is an additional course.
Okay.
So one of the discussions we had was kind of due to Mr. Lanier's experience, and knowledge in the area, actually, a buildup of, like our natural resources pathway. So this would be in addition to field bio. That would hopefully run this upcoming semester.
Okay, great.
So we already approved the course, we're just approving the curriculum this time.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the curriculum for the Oxford Middle School HIP course for 8th graders.
Do we have a second? Any discussion?
What is personal
Interest project.
interest? It's kind of
This
like
is-
their version of a CAPS.
Yeah, it's been officially running as a pilot, so we're looking to officially adopt it into like their program of studies. It's been small groups of 8th graders, and we're looking, it's been a success, we're looking to officially adopt it and expand the program.
Is that what they presented to us when we were at the middle school? They had some students come and do a presentation.
I know, I was there and I'm
That's
trying,
different.
I think that was part of it. They do, and those students also do a separate presentation for families, and I believe the board was invited last time as well. It's a semester course, where again, could be on any interest they have, so it's almost like a mini cap, but if someone decided mini capstone at the high school. Will have, that they do in middle school.
So,
Is that considered like one of the specials that they can take or an elective?
Yeah, so right now, we're not able to run it with every single 8th grader just due to, the amount of sessions the teacher, the librarian can teach. But we are trying to find ways to expand it, so it is considered, a special for 8th graders.
any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Nicole, would you like to?
I'm gonna take it from here.
Sure, for the first policy read.
Okay, we have our first read for review of policy of high school graduation requirements. The reason why we're doing this is because we need to update a few legislative changes. Some of the changes are simple, like a physician's assistant can now provide a note excusing students from a phys ed requirement. Other ones have to do with personal finance. A personal finance class can now count towards credit requirements for humanities, STEMs, or an elective. A student can earn 1 credit for capstone, but it's not required for graduation. And also there's a FAFSA completion requirement, which will apply to classes graduating in 2027 and thereafter. So those are the changes that we have to address. So we put this forth for a first read. If anybody has any questions as far as the policy as it's written, feel free to reach out and hopefully we can vote on it the next time we get together.
Perfect.
And then we also have a discussion for removal of policy 4940, which is the Connecticut paid sick leave law. The long and the short of it is we have a law in place and all we need to do is follow the law. We really don't need to have a policy on top of that. So it seems counterintuitive that we need to have 2 reads to remove something from our books, but that's the procedure. So that's what we're going to do. So we're not going to take action on it tonight, but the next time we get together, we're going to ask for your permission to take this off of our policies.
Could you explain that one a little bit? Do you know anything about it?
I'm going to pass it to Karen. for her to explain.
So, paid sick leave, is a new law in the state of Connecticut as of January 1st last year. It's actually gone through, iterations since then. Part of the reason that it's important to defer just to the law and not have policy and law is we'd be coming back to the table and asked to make corrections every time there was changes to the legislation. And really our burden of responsibility is to notice our employees around that. So Connecticut paid sick leave, the spirit of the law was to provide for employees in companies that did not have leave to be able to earn leave based on hours worked. As you can imagine, in an organization, in a municipality or an organization with collective bargaining agreements, where there's leave balances, it becomes a little bit more complicated. So there's provisions around what you can use that leave for under the Connecticut paid sick leave law. And that amounts to about 40 hours of your leave balance related to sick leave that you can use under the Connecticut paid sick leave law. Now, it becomes complicated with collective bargaining agreements, and that's where some of the legislative changes have been. And my anticipation, we've talked about this at policy, I think we're going to see even more of those changes as the legislators become more responsive to municipalities and education.
This is like 40 hours additional to what they get under contract.
So here's the thing, and this is one of those answers that probably doesn't make a lot of sense when I say it, but it runs concurrently, meaning it's not extra sick time. It's not, if you have 10 sick days, you don't get 5 extra sick days, but 40 hours of the total hours that you have can be used as Connecticut paid sick leave that run concurrent with the leave balance that you already So you could use that before you use what's in your bank. That's right. But it's part of your bank. You're not getting extra time. But it doesn't carry over 40 hours. That's exactly right. Yeah. Like I said, there's already been legislative changes. We anticipate more. There's a lot of conversations happening at the capital level about this. And I'll keep you guys updated by the policy committee or anytime you want to have a really fun conversation about, leave balances or, get paid sick leave. But it's really important, I think, to just defer to the law and notice appropriately, which we do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's it for us. We have another meeting scheduled for January. I believe it's 9th this month because we're not gonna get to the first.
January 8th.
January
Yes,
8th, okay.
yes.
Because we're not gonna do it on New Year's Day.
Really?
Champagne will be there.
Right. Thank
We
you.
didn't want it to conflict with football games.
Okay, report of the superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I want to thank Heather and Stephanie for the presentation and our students and Joe, it's outstanding. Again, I want to thank Noah and the administrative team for putting together our first draft of the budget. I can tell you our schools are very busy the next 4 or 5 days with lots of different holiday activities happening in classrooms and some larger school activities. I had the opportunity to attend the Festival of Trees and our high school winter music concert on Saturday, and it was absolutely remarkable. So wonderful job. It was just the quickest hour and a half just listening to our talented musicians, and it was just amazing. And also the Festival of Trees is well attended, and a lot of hard work goes into that, and I was able to see all of that, all the behind the scenes there with that. Just an update on our $500,000 network upgrade project. We're meeting with town officials on Thursday to answer any questions they have, and then we'll move that hopefully towards the approval process and get the ball rolling there. We are in the CEP building, so thank you to Linda and Mike D'Agostino and Gino and getting all that put together. So now we're holding our end of the deal with Monroe. Our architects are hard at work with our 10-year capital improvement plan. We're still on schedule for a presentation to you on February 10th. And our communications audit is starting, and hopefully you receive some notifications. I received my postcard in the mail today. And so we're very excited about those 4 forums that we're going to have, 2 in person, 2 virtually. And I've been enjoying over the last 6 months, the staff chats and superintendent roundtables out in the community, having those conversations with our internal stakeholders, but also our external stakeholders about what they like and enjoy about our school district, and then areas for improvement. So I really do appreciate people taking the time to come out and have a conversation with me. And then happy holidays, everyone. So thank you.
Okay, report of the chair.
Assistants.
Oh, I apologize. I'm jumping ahead. I'm all excited. Report of the assistant superintendent.
Yeah, I promise I won't bore you with more Connecticut paid sick leave talk. So to continue on my last report, I've been continuing to do a lot of work, as I promised you guys when you hired me, around understanding systems and procedures and really thinking strategically about how to present that to you guys at the end of the year as part of our plan and our goals. The other piece that we've been working on, all of the school climate plans from our 4 schools are due to me by the winter break. So I'll be reviewing those and approving them. We'll come back in the new year with those plans in place so that the schools know which goals that they're working on with their school climate committees. Some of our students have been participating on those committees. It's been really exciting work. And I think we've received a lot of feedback from staff so far that I've heard in the buildings of, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And that's exciting. They're really digging into the work and talking about culture and climate in the schools in a way that's been positive. And that's exciting for us. The last piece that I've been focusing on a lot in the past couple of months is getting into classrooms. I had the opportunity to see Kayla in class the other day and getting in both with our building administrators on rounds. I've been doing rounds at all the schools with the assistant principals and principals, popping into classrooms, just getting a sense of what's going on in our classrooms, as well as doing formal observations of teachers and administrators. And that's been an exciting sort of momentum to start building in the last couple of months. One of the things that I've been doing with teachers is just communicating with them about their schedule. So it's not just me popping into their classroom to do formal observation without ever having seen them teach before, but getting the opportunity to go into their classroom, learn their style, understand a little bit more about, you know, how they operate their classroom and what they're doing, and then setting up observations. And then really having nice conversations about feedback, about what's going on in the classroom, about the exciting work that they're doing. I have had a beautiful opportunity to see a couple of our social workers in action. I observed both our social worker at GOES and at the middle school last week. And I just said to them as I was leaving, thank you for taking such good care of our kids. It's really cool. And happy holidays.
Okay,
Oh, well, so talking about popping in and seeing lessons, is there a way we could come up with a schedule or just like a day or something where Board of Ed members, because I know always said you can always call in and say, I wanna like just pop in and observe, but never really been invited into the schools to see how things operate actually. I mean, except when my kids were here, but would that be something that we could do?
Yeah, I think we have a policy around that and that goes through the superintendent. I don't know. I don't know, to set that up. Yeah, we can take a look at the policy.
great. Okay, we're all set?
Okay.
Okay, report of the chair. To start off, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Coach Rich Hilaire, who recently passed away, I believe, November. So just take a moment. Thank you. As we head into holiday season, I want to take a moment to wish all of our students, families, staff, board members, and our entire community good health and happiness. I know this time of year means different things to different people. For those who celebrate Christmas, I hope it's a joyful and meaningful time with family and friends. Those who celebrate other holidays will simply enjoy the season as a chance to slow down. I hope it brings rest, warmth, and a time to recharge. Thank you to everyone for the work you do and how you support our district. I wish everyone a safe and relaxing break and all the best as we head into the next year. We have one bit of business to do, and then I'd like to hand it over to our new board members. I need the board's help in choosing a CABE-sponsored workshop. I guess part of our membership, we're allowed a free CABE workshop, and they gave us three choices. There's the FOA, Freedom of Information Act, and the roles and responsibilities. There's legislative issues and advocacy, and board self-evaluation. I want to give the board the opportunity to weigh in and have a say in what kind of presentation we might have, I believe, in February or March. February.
Could you just repeat those?
Sure, FOA, so Freedom of Information Act and the roles and responsibilities. Legislative issues and advocacy. And board self-evaluation.
I'll jump in. My vote would be for FOIA because I think it touches just about everything we do, from emails to communications to how we conduct our board meetings. And I think we've stepped on it a few times in the past, and it would be helpful to get a refresher on that.
Yeah. So we just did the training and it's very thorough. It's very thorough.
With the experts. So are we in a reasonably agreement, FOA?
Well, I have a question. Do we do board self-evaluation?
We do. We will have one at the end of the year, as well as we have a mid-year evaluation we work on with the superintendent. But at the end of the year, we also we're going to be doing a self-evaluation of the board.
Have we done that in the past?
Yeah, we've kind of done some version of it,
Is this in our charter or in any of our requirements that we need to be doing this and be thorough through it?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I think we have a policy.
I don't think we have.
I haven't seen one. So we have also, so is your push is for board self-evaluation?
That would be
Yes.
great.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree with that too.
Do we want to put it to a vote, or it looks like we have?
Maybe I'll do both. We could ask if Trish would.
You could do a hybrid.
We can ask her.
We could take a trip up to Rocky Hill. Yeah, they love talking about everything, so they would be more than happy.
And they had a template for this online,
They have great.
so they're,
So Ralph, can we try for those two and see, and we could always circle back? if We need to.
Yeah, but the date that doesn't conflict with our board meeting in February would be Tuesday the 17th. Okay, they offered us in February.
There's always,
Now we gotta work around budget, so I know March gets a little tight with us, so that's why we kind of thought February. But they have the 17th available, so
that's good for me.
Okay.
and there's always Mark Sagaruga at Zach's office. He's like the man who wrote the.
He
FOIA.
literally wrote the book.
Yeah, he wrote the book. So he already has a presentation put together.
how long would you like it to be? Because then we'll see if they can do the two items. What's that?
You're on winter break on the 17th. The school's not open.
Wait a minute, you're saying you're saying February
We
7th?
asked for dates. So,
I have no school that day. What day is?
right, but that's a work day. I mean, we're for 12-month people, we work. Or we can
Okay.
take a time off.
Why would it be off? Is it President's Day or something?
It's winter break.
It's winter break,
Oh.
it's winter break here, but we
Got it.
were, so they offered. Because they offered the other ones, but it's our board meeting dates,
It's winter.
so,
February's best. Because everything.
because March is gonna get a little tight, we're going to town. Okay. Right, so two things, I'll find out if we can merge those two.
And if we
cannot,
can't,
report back to
board
Mike and then.
self-evaluation seemed like it was if we had to pick, if we could choose both, we'd like both, but if we have to pick. I think
How much
board-
time is it? I guess we should know the time, how long do we want one, because then I
Is
can
it
say.
virtual or in person?
I'm gonna read the email, I think it's a person, I think she's coming there.
That's fine. Makes a difference, but,
Do we wanna do like a couple hours with dinner, or how do we wanna do it?
Yeah.
like 2 hours.
Let's see if we can do it, let's see if they can do 2 hours
Okay.
in person. Okay, and I'll report back to Mike.
Fantastic. Okay, and the last part, at this time, I'd like to share the remaining part of my board chair report with our new board members so they can speak about their experiences at the CABE New Board Member Conference.
I think it was a great experience. I would recommend it to everyone who didn't get it maybe, or might still need to know something. It was so thorough. They even had one for the leadership, for the chairs. So at one point they broke into another group and went to another room. They had great insight. There was two takeaways that
we got a Board of Ed handbook. We got a lot of material, yes, a lot of reading. They gave a lot of good ideas. One was a policy about not having board meetings go past a certain time and being able to carry it over to another day. So like say 10 o'clock or 10:30 and we're still not done, that there's a policy that says, okay, we could reconvene for the rest of this meeting in another day. A lot of people were talking about that because sometimes I guess things could go on and on all night, right? That was a good one. And then another idea was how the board takes a picture as a group and puts a picture with all the names of the current Board of Ed at all of the schools that goes in the office so that people know who we are. Did I miss that? I thought that was a nice idea. It was in the reading. Yeah, I thought it was, I actually decided to join finance after the presentation on finance. Cause I actually found it to be like really interesting. So I actually was like, cause I got like a better, sense of what would happen on the finance subcommittee. And then I also found the policy was really interesting too, because there were boards there that they had homework policies from 1996. So even just reviewing policy, and does the policy line up with your board goals, and does it line up with your strategic action plan, and how everything is lining up. So it just got you thinking more like a board member, which I thought was really good.
And remember, for policy, they recommended that we have an AI policy.
When they said something about
Because AI being such a push now. to really talk about how that's going to work in school.
Yeah, it was really great. The Commissioner for Education of the state was there. It was just great to know that there's so many systems within the system. I wasn't aware you could go to literally a website and every pull down system it's fantastic. So to have that resource as a board member, if something comes up in policy, you can just go double check it and you know where to go. It was great to bond with new board members together, to have time together and to be with Dr. Mariano for the day. It was fun. It was insightful. It was just a lot of fun. It was surprising how much your mind could absorb, because there was a ton coming at you that you're like, ooh, no, ooh, keeper, you know, there were a lot of great things, a lot of great notes. There's things that you know, and then you're like, oh, I want to dive more into that. So it gave you a lot of, just food for thought to how to conduct yourself as a board member, both in a meeting and out of a meeting. Especially some of the topics, like how you're with the public too. So that was all really helpful and
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. And just to end my report, I hope you enjoy your cake pops.
Thank you.
I did not make them, so someone who can actually cook made them.
Hey.
Bake. So at this time, report of the student representatives.
All right, so I'll go first. We have a lot of stuff happening through the month of January. So right now, we kicked off our holiday spirit week. So today was holiday hues, just festive colors, wear as many as you can. Tomorrow, we're having winter or Wonderland Wednesday, which is our whiteout day. So everyone comes in wearing white. Thursday is flannel or ugly Christmas sweater, which we also have on Monday, next Monday. And then Friday is a PJ day, which we have again on next Tuesday. We're carrying it through the end of school. We also have the past month-ish, I believe, we've been redecorating our advisory doors. So if you get a chance to look around, like there's some walls that you don't even know there's walls behind the paper anymore. Just everyone's been hard decorating, and it's a competition between all the advisories, all the grades. And I believe there is a prize. I don't remember at this point. Pizza party. Oh, yeah, pizza party. And then on Thursday the voting for that is on Thursday. That's whole school wide. Thursday as well, we're having a robotics demonstration by company Stokes. We're interested in buying a robotic dog, and we have someone coming from this company to show us what it is. They're coming around 12:30. They're going to stay throughout the end of the school day so that the robotics team can meet with it. And we really believe it's going to not just help the engineering students with robotics, but the whole school. It's going to help with studies, could help with building stuff, patrolling the halls. There's a lot more we can look into on that too.
Robotic dog would walk through the hallways.
Yeah, we would be trying to code it, so it will go autonomously.
Get the let them up.
No. We'll change this. I guess we'll find out on Thursday. But after that, we hit winter recess. 2 weeks, and then we start back on school Monday, the 5th. So that's gonna be fun. And then after that, we got midterms, the 13th through the 16th. 11 o'clock dismissal or dismissal. And then on January 28th, we have a Holocaust survivor coming to speak about her experience. Her name is Sora Figueredo. And Ms. O'Brien gave me a small rundown. She was a twin she and her twin went to Auschwitz, but she was the only one that survived. So we will be hosting her during school, 9:45, 10:45. Everyone's going to be in attendance, and then the community is welcome to come for the 7 to 8:30 showing. Yes.
In the afternoon.
Yes. We've done a few of these before. I believe we're collaborating with the town's local congregation for this. Not too certain, but this is not the first time, and I'm excited.
What's the date for?
January 28th. And then 7 o'clock for the evening and 9:45 in the morning, if you're able to come during school. And then top things off, you're doing an 8th grade parents night, so parents of 8th graders with freshmen coming in, they get to talk to the department heads in the school, and they get to see how high school life will be like for their students. We are also possibly bringing clubs into this, as last week we did have like a club fair student panel type thing, where a ton of clubs were there. We had booths in the gym. We had half the gym for a few hours. I unfortunately was not able to attend. I was on a field trip, but I heard it was very successful for a lot of different clubs. And the panel is just students talking about their experience freshman year and throughout high school. Last year, I was in attendance and I saw juniors talking about how they're balancing their work-life schedule here in school and how they're looking towards the future, and freshmen explaining how high school is very different from middle school, and these 8th graders, they need to know as much as possible, so they're ready. That will be again January 29th, 6 to 7:30 p.m.
All right, so to top off all the things happening in the future, the musical, which is Mean Girls, just started up, and that is going to come out, fairly sure March.
Yeah.
March
During SAT week, that's gonna be fun, but, to speak on the Festival of Trees, what is essentially is there were clubs and sports that donated mainly gift cards to be won by the community through raffles. And Hope Club in particular donated the cards and necessities to people in need. And many clubs during Festival of Trees set up stands with goods essentially. It's like a bracelet stand. There were some with ornaments, some with like dog treats. So that was really fun to see the clubs come together to create that. And then the National Honor Society served food and entertained the younger children with inflatables, which I was one of. That was really fun. And to basically do a recap on the fall sports, we had a lot of NVL recognitions. For football, we had James M, Trent T, and Chase S. For the soccer girls, we had Michaela S and Maddie R. For the soccer boys, we had Kevin M, who ended up going to All-State, Massimo S and Owen D. For the girls swim and dive, we had Sophia M, Gabby W, Abby V, Kaylee G, Kaylin S, and Julia W, and they were undefeated. So that's really great. Cross country, we had Cameron S, Joseph DeLuce, who became a New England qualifier, and Callie DeLuce, who also went All-State. For girls volleyball, they had a winning season with so Haley F and Tessa H made it to all NBLs. And we had significant, and then the winter sports have just begun. That's athletic report.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to board committee reports. Bobby, I don't know if you like to share, you were the subcommittee chair for the last facility meeting?
Sure. So we had our meeting last Monday. The gym flooring is continuing to be a problem. It's buckling in different places now, and that's gonna need to be addressed. They had to relocate practice, and some PE classes were also affected as a result. We're getting close to having 2 sponsors that are gonna pay for the padding, right? Did we get the second one?
Officially confirmed the second sponsor earlier today.
Right.
So that means that the budgetary process is all done. Now it's just the production of the actual pads. We're gonna send them out. So now we'll officially have wall padding that will go the entire length of the court, as well as covering the vent for the return that is against the wall that we currently have covered with just, the old padding we used to have in the gym for safety purposes.
So did they cover the whole cost? Or did
Yes.
they- Yeah, so that's a good thing. We have some issues with the baseball field that are continuing from the flood of 24. We have to replace some of the infield, correct? And, there's a potential cost to that. And that's athletics. Emergency roof repair at Oxford Middle School. Did I get that right? Oxford, I have OFS at Quaker. Oh, I didn't put the little squiggly thing on the key, on the. That's why. So we did have to do that. GOES has, their electrical issue has been fixed at Quaker Farms. We talked about earlier on today about the fire panel needing to be replaced. It's one of the critical capital improvements that we have to do. As was presented earlier, there's no real fix because that fire panel's 30 to 40 years old, and if it goes out, there's no replacement for it. There's gonna be a cost to that because we'll have to go and do what we did at GOES, have a fire watch, which I believe one day, is that right, Noah? We did one day, it was $1,000 just for that day.
And that was only for 8 hours. It wasn't a 24
Right, it wasn't a 24-hour thing. You're looking at 40 to 50 days on the replacement for the fire panel, which is gonna be a much bigger expense than it would be if it was just one day. The high school has had some AC issues. There's been a potential leak in the pool as well. And the pool pack had an issue with the VFD, which is it moderates how hard the pool pack works.
Is that why it sounds like this?
Yeah, why?
First shift is going to be right. Want to take off anytime?
I would just say this. This school is 18 years old, right? Not a whole lot of, capital projects have been done here, and it's 18 years old, and now it's coming home to roost. They're looking into some leaks on the roof and the window leaks at OMS. And that concludes the facilities part, IT with Jim. The auditorium in the high school had some speaker issues. And the cause was found that somebody turned off. And they fixed it by turning it on. The IT upgrade, we had Ralph mentioned that in his report. It's moving along with the town. Speakers need to be updated at QFS and it GOES. We have some non-functioning speakers that face out towards the playgrounds in the back, if I'm correct on that. We want to add some speakers to GOES as well. They just don't exist, and this is where, in the case of an emergency, this is where the kids collect, or they all kind of congregate there, and this is where they're supposed to go, and there's no way for anybody to communicate them through a speaker system as well, which is obviously a safety issue. And last thing we did was we did an executive session with Brian about security.
Great. And the next time we have facilities, I believe based on our schedule would be January 12th. So moving on to curriculum.
So we met on December 8th. Since I don't have a committee, Mike joined me. So we we'll have for you at, I believe, the next board meeting.
Sure.
5 courses for us to approve as a board. The first one, as you've heard, is the EMT class, which we are really excited to have come forward. AP Environmental Science, a catering class, hold on. And then Financial Literacy and AP Pre-Calculus. So the courses will come to us at the next board meeting for us to review. And then, if we approve it, then the curriculum will be written, and they're going in the program of studies. So the kids can start to pick classes, but pending board approval, pending budget. So they're not necessarily, we have to figure out if we can afford it and board approves it.
What was the last one?
AP Pre-Calc.
AP Pre-Calc.
AP pre-calc?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's different from AP calc.
So I think I can share the stuff that you gave me, right?
Yeah, those are just the.
Yeah, so I can share to everybody, I'll put them on the minutes are there, so I'll just attach those to the minutes, so if anybody wants to look at the recommendations from the course, then you guys can look at it. And that's it.
Okay, policy?
Nothing new since we last spoke. Half an hour ago.
Finance, just that our next meeting is tomorrow. It was scheduled a month ago. Noon, virtual. It's keep on keeping on, but we're gonna be having in January 6th is gonna be our budget workshop. We're excited about that. It's gonna be fast paced. Our insurance, we have some drivers that are pushing our percentage higher than normal. And we're gonna need to, work together and get behind the budget. It's gonna be it'll be what it is, but it's one of those, we have to support it. And we have to find a way to make it work without going backwards in how we educate our children. And some of it costs money. So. School, or no, we're gonna skip the school business partnership, liaison report.
Well, we just wrapped up, me?
Yes, you can combine it, because you're both on Roots Japan.
Huh? Oh, I'm back. Yeah. Sorry, Stace. We did just wrap up Festival of Trees, another huge success. Well, shout out to some of the women who stepped up with Lisa, Tilly and I both being out of commission kind of while running the whole thing. But again, they did a wonderful job. We had about 200+ people come through for Pizza with Santa. Everyone's very happy to see Santa. They had their pizza. The kids in the costumes were hilarious. The blow up gingerbread and trees and other assorted interesting things. And then we had over 50 vendors at the holiday market on Saturday. And we had 32 donations representing about 13 different charities. Final numbers aren't in yet, but I'm thinking we made close to probably $7,000. And it was, people had a lot of fun. It was a good day. The weather held out, so. And next year, I'd love to see like a little bit more, like more community present from the schools, all the schools and central office, and get as many people as we can get involved again. And Pam's got a new whole idea for next year, some Toyland thing or something.
Pam always has an idea.
Hey,
So PTO, they're meeting this month, everyone's festive and frolicking around, so the ladies decided that it would just be kind of just best for everyone to center around home and just focus on what they do and what PTO does. They have a lot of great things coming up for January, a school-wide like hockey game where they all go, everyone can attend. Their next meeting is January 8th at 6:30 at this.
great. Okay, at this time, our second audience of citizens. Anyone like to speak? Anyone like to speak? Okay, we have no executive session that I'm aware of.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting ends at 8:34.